right, here we go. Betting Weekly Live. Here with you on a Monday, a new week of Betting Weekly Live. Mike Carver along with Doug Kazarian as we get you ready for all of tonight's action. We have finally, they have waited long enough, the college football playoff national championship game tonight in Miami. We have a bunch of NBA, NHL. They're playing daytime games as well. Couple college hoop things, and of course, we now know our Final Four for this weekend in the NFL conference championship games, all set up and ready to go. Doug, happy Monday. How are you?
Happy Monday, but sad future. Only four football games remaining, one college and three NFL. I start to get sad like going into this weekend just because I'm a glass half empty guy, I guess. But really fun, really successful betting for us. Thank God. After last week went like 0-4 or something like that with all the leans, at least on all the games. But good to get back on track. Got a nice play for tonight and some other things, but no 50-1 long shots, Carver. Not all of us swim in mingle in the same crowds that you do.
What a way to start the PGA year for me. First week of the season, and we nailed Chris Goddard up at 50-1 at the Sony Open out in Hawaii. Thought he had a chance. He played great Thursday, Friday. Kind of hung around. It was a tough weather day out there on Saturday, and he was I think one back or two back at Davis Riley going in, and then he just blew the doors off everyone in the back nine and left no doubt. So yes, Doug, thank you. Good way to start the PGA at 50-1 with Chris Goddard up, and now we head back to Cali. We got the American Express. We get right back on the horse coming up here. Petey leaving early to prep for the huge ND UConn contest. Wanted to give a shout out. Thank you very much, Petey, for the Sony Open 50-1 winner. Just to the 2-1, 9-1 shots from the early show. Wow, early show's been hot, Doug, as well. So the tennis also. Nigel had a 50-1 banger in the tennis too this past week. So we've been rolling here on Betting Weekly Live. And now we get ourselves ready, Doug, for tonight and a new week. But let's do the opening line as we do every Monday. Coming off of the NFL weekend, of course, some takeaways. Denver, New England, Seattle, and the Rams, Doug. That is what we got left here for Conference Championship Sunday.
Oh, huge surprises, right? We got the one seed in both conference, and then the Rams were clearly considered among the lead, even though they had to go on the road to start the playoffs. And New England took care of business. So you got one and the two seeds, and then basically the two best teams in the NFC, barring your opinion on, the Rams versus maybe a couple other teams. So obviously the big change here is Bo Nix's injury. And look, he's not he's not an MVP candidate who goes down, but he's better than a guy who's not thrown a pass in 2 years. Now, Stidham's a nice fit, and he was sought out. It's kind of like Snoop Huntley sought out as a backup for Lamar Jackson, right? The coaching staff felt comfortable. They wanted Stidham as the backup in case something happened to Nix. We talk about this a lot with injuries. It's not like they're going to play with 10 guys on offense. They get to replace them, and it's a full week of practice. It's not mid-game. With that being said, it's an advantage for New England. I know some guys who, as soon as the line opened 4, bet it. It got to 5.5 and maybe even 6 late last night, and then it came back down. I don't have a good read of where this market's going to go. I think just based on the line movement and the sharps pouncing like blood in the water, I think we're going to hold strong at this number at 5.5 because it got 6 and then it got buyback. So 4 was obviously too short. 5.5 is kind of a dead zone, obviously not a key number in the NFL. And this is what, odds makers don't really love injuries. I've talked about it a lot. They want teams at full strength because they have the power ratings based on the entire sample size of a full season of data. But it's not like anyone has like a real good angle. We've seen some of this in the past with Mahomes and Chad Henne, if I'm not mistaken, and some others over the years. Remember, Nick Foles replaced Carson Wentz and some others. So, be careful out there. Just thinking or have an angle and you're itching to fire on a game. I think this is where live wagering could really present an opportunity because the algorithms will use the closing line of 5.5 and then past data of all games that were around 5.5 to calculate the remaining line moving forward based on results, right? But this could just be a disaster where the 5.5 is wrong one way or another. It could be so wrong and underestimated Stidham or overestimated. So that's where I think live wagering really is a great tool, and you can offset the extra juice there is on the 30-cent straddle.
Yeah, it's such a weird spot that we're going to be in, and we'll talk about it all week. Having a guy who hasn't played in 2 years starting a game, a title game, it's so bizarre, and I don't even know how to look at it. Like I feel like I want to go after the Patriots with it, but Doug, but then I'm like, nah, you know what? This is Jarrett Stidham here. I don't know, and I saw their defense get beat up pretty good by the Bills on Saturday night. I don't know if I can do it as much as I want to. I don't know if I can reach out and grab it with the Broncos this week.
I agree with you. And I talked to some guys during the game, and they were just all telling me how bad the Broncos defense is. I'm glad you brought that up, Mike, because they said since the bye week, it's been so shaky, except for a couple games, very overrated. And the deeper dive I did. So this Broncos team can be had. Now, Josh Allen's a pretty good quarterback. So he made him look bad. But I think McDaniels, for as awkward as he is as a head coach and how many people he's rubbed the wrong way, I think that has clouded the perception of how good of an offensive coordinator he is. And
Yep.
obviously Brady, you know, he did what Brady gets most of the credit. Don't get me wrong, but McDaniels was there along for the ride and did pretty darn well. And I think the Patriots could light it up. Now it's on the road, and the Patriots, didn't look smooth yesterday. It's just that
No.
CJ Stroud was playing left-handed or something. So I don't know what to make of this Pats team. They've been a little shaky, right? Like
Yeah.
May's a good quarterback coming out. The negative or the cons, if you will, was that he forces too many risky balls and stuff like that. We saw that protection, but he's not having to go against the Texans front four. Like that was obviously really difficult. This is different apps.
I think one way or the other, and the board kind of showed it when we started here. The NFC winner is going to be favored by, I think a decent amount. Even New England, Doug. I think the NFC winner is going to have the upper hand, as they would say, going into Santa Clara for Super Bowl 60 a couple weeks from Sunday. In my eyes, I mean they're both clearly better. I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. NFC's minus 230 right now at BetRivers. Earlier in
Yeah.
the year, you could have gotten 3, 2.5, something like that. But obviously, things have changed. I think Seattle's so good, but Darnold's shaky, right? If you kind of hang around, Darnold's really good at playing downhill. And when you get the opening kickoff return for a touchdown, that helps. And obviously, the Niners were just out of gas and limited, and Seahawks are pretty good. They did, in fact, maul them.
They mauled him. And look, and Darnold, we had 6 out of 8 on that interceptions on Friday. So we put up that interception parlay. 6 out of 8 made it. We just came up short. Darnold really didn't have to do much on Saturday night. Other fallout from these
Yeah,
games
the
this
6
week.
out of 8, that was great. You made
6
the
out
group
of 8.
chat too. We were talking
Yes.
about it yesterday, having a good chuckle. What do we remember what the odds were? Was it
It
like
was
300 to 1?
it was 150 to 1, I
Oh,
believe,
man.
was
I was
when
just
I
saying,
placed it out
with the
at.
second half to go, imagine if you just needed a Stafford pick to get home.
Yeah.
But obviously Darnold didn't cooperate.
He didn't have to do much Saturday night, Doug. It was kind of a light night for Sam Darnold against the 49ers. The other fallout from this weekend is, of course, after the Bills lost that game to the Broncos on Saturday. This morning, Doug, Sean McDermott chopped our 10th opening of this cycle in the NFL as he goes. Brandon Beane not only gets to stay, he gets a promotion. He gets a promotion as now being the VP of football and the general manager. Look, this had to happen, Doug, and I'm not one of these guys. I'm not going to sit here and blame the refs for what happened on Saturday. The Bills lost on Saturday because for the first time in a long time, you got to blame Allen for what happened in that game. I thought Allen got a bad rap the last few years in terms of, he's got to beat this guy, that guy. He's been dragging teams. He made critical mistakes and missed critical throws, Doug, in that game. And even though this probably wasn't Sean McDermott's biggest blemish of all these years losing in the playoffs, the ceiling's been hit. It's time to try something else.
You hit the nail on the head many times. It reminds me, I had a buddy in high school, or a guy I knew in high school, who got expelled for something. He didn't really do anything wrong. It was like kind of like an overblown thing, but he got expelled for who he was and not what he did because he had been in trouble a bunch before. That basically is what Sean McDermott happened. He's getting fired for who he is, based on past performance, not just the most recent game, and that comes with the territory. I'll say this: um, when you have an elite coaching staff and you're over prepared, your players play better. It's just like when you really studied for an exam and you know the material, okay, cold, you go into the exam and you're just kind of more relaxed and more comfortable. The game slows down, so to speak, right? Josh Allen has never had that feeling. He's never been just game slowing down, having to a light lift. The coach, I mean, just imagine if he had this like elite coaching staff like Belichick and McDaniels over the years, it would be so easy for him because he's got the skill set. And I think the head case plays he makes where he's trying to do too much and he goes like bananas in his head, probably. I just think everything would just be so much calmer and he'd just be at peace during the game. So I think it's all connected for anyone who's played sports or in this my example, taking exams or whatever. You just kind of know what I'm talking about. Like you're just like at ease and you're
Yep.
just in a good spot for a game. And I think Allen, with how complicated and complex the sport is, running a team, having to do all this, the pressure mounting. I mean, for as awesome as Bill's Mafia is, like he feels that burning desire to get over the hump and win, right? It's got to take its toll on anyone with any sort of empathy and compassion and kind of read the room, right? You do all this in Jacksonville, it's not as much pressure, right? They're not breaking tables in
No.
Jacksonville and some other fan bases. So it's just combustible and it's a volcano in a lot of ways. So when you have a guy, and look, I'm not in all the meetings, but I just don't think McDermott's like 8 steps ahead of the opponent like
No.
other coaches are. I mean, going back to the 13 seconds and everything like that, he just seems a little lost. And we have in the chat teams that, won the coin toss, choosing to defer. I don't know what the right answer is. I think in regular season, you take the ball because that third possession matters so much in a 10-minute quarter. Maybe it's different.
Yeah.
I go back and forth. You want to know what you need on fourth down, but that third possession. Now, in this particular game, the defenses weren't playing great, so you can't really assume punts. But I don't know, man. I just think like he's not way ahead of the curve. And I did some research last night, and he's got a very good track record with Carolina and before that. But to your point, it's time for a change.
Yeah, Stroud has never played well in cold weather. No, he certainly is not. Belichick to the Bills. No, thank you, David. I'm fine.
Oh,
I'm
that
good
would
with that.
that would just be tainted if
It
he
would
won,
be
if he actually
wild.
won.
It certainly would be wild, and that is now. Look, it's attractive. That's for sure. The Bills' job is going to be attractive with Josh Allen sitting there, but they need to get some things done around him because having the bones of Brandon Cooks and McCole Hardman basically be the crux of their offense on Saturday. We get some better players around them, and that'll be good for us going forward in Buffalo. All right, Doug. One thing on the futures before we get to tonight's stuff. We know who the four are. We gave it to you. Anything maybe Super Bowl MVP wise that we could start to look at here with 4 teams left?
We discussed it in the last show. The Darnold value, I think, is gone. But I do think maybe JSN at plus 1,300. He's such a difference maker. And I think it's one of those things you can't really prepare for on film. Whoever's facing the Seahawks, if they advance, will go through tape. And plus 1,300 is attractive, but you can't really simulate JSN and his route running. And I just don't think it's going to be a lopsided game like it was against the Niners. So I would say um, there's probably value there. I mean, Darnold's going to be throwing the ball to him, but he is special. And the defense, it's really hard to pinpoint one guy. It's kind of like the Legion of Boom defense is just whoever is going to get that pick six or whatever. But I think 1,300 for a team that's what plus two 150 to win the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. I mean, he's a difference maker, right? I don't think it's going to be the running backs. A running back hasn't won this award in like 2 decades. It's crazy.
Mm.
Um, I thought for sure there'd be a running back along the way, but it's wide receivers or quarterbacks on offense and then a random defensive player. So I think that could be a fun play if you like Seattle in the game. I do. I think the Rams going 3 straight road games is tough.
Listen, you're potentially, by the end of Sunday night, we could have Sam Darnold against Jarrett Stidham in the Super Bowl, Doug. And then I think that all the other secondary and tertiary players will be very alive for MVP if that ends up being the matchup. All right, let's get to tonight. We have got finally, and man, they got to fix it. It just takes way too long to get to the end of the road here. The College Football National Championship in Miami, as Indiana and the Hurricanes from there down in Miami will get together to finally decide a winner. So last week, Doug, we saw this get to 8.5. I think there was even maybe a day where it got to 9 and then went back down 8.5. And now here we are, day of game, and we're down to 7.5, with the total also down to 46.5.
Oh, just talking to all the sharps and everything. They play numbers, right? You hear the I play numbers, not teams. You really should play both, right? You should really handicap the teams as well. 8.5 feels really high. It's all about it's really hard to explain. So I try to use the roulette wheel example, but just the odds in the roulette wheel are static. I say fixed, but that always implies like shady behavior. They're static, right? You just know the math. Okay. If it hits like 4 or 5 reds in a row, it's not that the odds were wrong. It's just it happened to come up those reds 5 times in a row. So when these guys look at the market, they just think like the distribution of possible outcomes. Indiana by 30, Indiana by 5, Indiana lose by 7 is all just in the mix. And whatever happens, this one outcome is one of those outcomes. It's not like the line was wrong. So they just want as many sort of outcomes in their spin of the wheel. And they just think the line is too high or was too high at 8.5 for this matchup. And it doesn't really matter what happened in previous ones, the apex of the market. If you look at common opponent and its recent common opponent on a neutral field, Ohio State, okay? Miami jumped out 17-0 or whatever it was. Now you could say a lot of that was the rust, the bye week, all the teams that had the bye started slow. So maybe that 17-0, but Indiana has crushed their 2 playoff opponents. Okay. But before that, they've had some nail biters. Okay. Zignetti's a very good coach. You can still be the best coach in the country and not just destroy every team. So the Ohio State game, the guy missed a chip shot. Otherwise, we're looking at overtime. And it was a low scoring game. Mendoza threw a pick on the opening drive, although it was a weird one. I think that was off the jersey or something. But, Penn State, they trailed. Iowa, that game was lost until it was won. Even the game at Oregon, they dominated, but then the pick 6. So this is not a team that's absolutely destroyed everyone in its path all year. Now, that's okay. I mean, that doesn't mean you can't cover 7.5, but just we have to remind ourselves it's not just about the 2 games. Now, Zignetti's getting extra time. Some of these teams from other conferences, whether it's the teams they've played, like Alabama, didn't belong, and then Alabama kind of unraveled. I just think this game, I think Miami's going to play pretty conservatively, right? They already did in their first 2 playoff games. A lot of run. They already have a slow pace. They throw hitches and stuff to Tony and ball around the line of scrimmage. So they're very methodical on offense. They want to lean on their defense. Zignetti's like from the Belichick/Saban tree, where bad loses more than good wins. He lets other teams screw up, like Dante Moore pick 6, or DeBoer going through a shotgun on 4th and inches and running a horizontal run. So Miami knows that. I think it's going to be a lot of jabs early in the rounds before we start getting some overhead punches and haymakers. So I like first half under. That's my play on the gamer side. Like I lean to the dog, but I've also leaned to Oregon and Bama against Indiana, and I'm just sick of getting hit in the face with this. So I don't want to take the bait because I do think Indiana can pull away.
I'm with you on that aspect, Doug. Like I'm not going after Signetti tonight. Like I don't want to. Like I thought about it at 8.5, 9. Do I want to do this? And even though I've got the Miami colors on for tonight, that's just coincidence. Really, the only thing that I've thought in this game is, and I think you might be right, slow start, and I might back up my bet by doing that as well. I think this game plays out in 2 ways. I think either Indiana does what they've done in all these other ones and just completely rips them in half, and they probably get in the 40s by themselves, and this game sails over that way of 46.5, or this game is tight, and maybe it's a slow starting tight, like you say, but opens up a little bit in the second half where we get some punches thrown. And if it's tight, I think both teams are in the 20s and gives us a chance to get this over too. So I'm taking the over tonight, Doug, and it's gone down. That worries me. Listen, it's dropping down to 46.5 now. So that always makes me pause as well. But I really feel like those are the two ways tonight. I don't see 13-10 being the final of this game. It's either a complete blowout or both teams are throwing punches back and forth.
Again, yeah, you're right. Because I think these coaches are, for lack of a better phrase, old school. Not that they haven't evolved, but I just don't think they want to, like, in the Super Bowl, right? You don't go 3 and out. That's the thing they don't want, is that you have possession one of the halves and you just go 3 and out. So it's a lot of conservative play calls. One thing I always do in the Super Bowl, and we'll certainly talk about props in the near future, is the first completion for each quarterback under like 8.5 yards or 9.5, because you want to just see the ball kind of get that, like, ease the quarterback into it. So you throw a bubble screen, a nice hitch, a dump off. I think coaches are going to approach that. I don't think we're going deep on the first play unless it's wide open, um, because you don't want to go 2nd and 10, and you just want to move the sticks and settle the nerves. And we saw that with Oregon, right? The hitch right away, just to get Dante Moore an easy throw. But obviously, Indiana had those thoughts too. I just think it's going to come out a little easy. But Miami sort of screwed things up in their last game. Remember, they did the halfback pitchback nonsense that Saban made fun of Cristobal after the game. It's just eye test. It's going to be pretty competitive in the trenches, and that's really the calling card for Indiana's success this year. He's had a clean pocket, he being Mendoza, all season. And if Miami can disrupt that, then we're going to see Mendoza look a little different, just like any quarterback would, with pressure in his face. I'm not in a rush to lay 7.5, but I do think Indiana's going to win by 3, 4, 7 points, something like that. I really think it's going to be right there. So maybe maybe one of those bands early.
He really hasn't looked like he's broken a sweat. Like, someone brought up to me the other day, like, I was watching the game with someone with me, and they're like, he looks like he hasn't even sweated in these post-game interviews that he does, Mendoza. Like, he's done, and he just looks like he's just went for a light jog. Like, there's never really any
I mean, this
pushback
goes
to
back to
him.
the NFL draft stuff. Everyone's talking like he's Joe Burrow too. I'm like, guys,
I don't see that
guys
either.
are wide open and perfectly scouted. He's literally coached perfectly and said, 3-step drop, put your foot in the ground, throw to this receiver. He's going to be open. It's incredibly well coached.
It is. Player props for tonight, Doug. You got him. I don't in New
Yeah.
York, but I'll be
Our
listening.
colleague on the Betting Weekly family, Wes Reynolds, who was big on the shows in the past, is he's been IU grad. EJ Williams Jr. over 12.5 receiving yards. He's a zone buster, and Miami plays a lot of zone, so it's a matchup thing. It's not one of the main guys. Might have to sweat. May only get one catch, but that's the play I'm going with. EJ Williams over 12.5 receiving yards.
Wow, EJ Williams, and yes, Wes, big Hoosier guy, so he's got the know with the Hoosiers, that's for sure. So over 12.5 there for them. Oh, and I do have, Doug, I don't want to move on either before I tell you about the special that we've got at BetRivers tonight for this game. This is tonight's boost, starting with a bang. Either Indiana or Miami to score a touchdown on their first offensive possession. Boosted from even money to plus 120, Doug. So that's either team scoring a touchdown on their first offensive possession. I know it does go a little against what you were saying about possibly a slow start.
Not in love with it. Touchdown drive props are usually not that, you need more of a payout. Now, you could also get a short field, then things change. I do think Zignetti's probably scouted Miami really well and will have a good. I think if it happens, it's going to happen with the Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Um, Now you get either team, so that's why it's plus 120. Because a touchdown, if they get, let's say they punt, get the ball in their own 20, whatever, it's like plus 250 or so to get a touchdown, maybe like 220, 175. So to get either team, the boost is fair. I just don't think the game's going to play out that way. But the odds are fair for sure. They're actually better than fair.
There you go. Miami and Indiana tonight. College football playoff national championship game in Miami is where we will have that. All right. NBA. We've got day games, of course, with Martin Luther King Jr. holiday today. We had the Bucks beat the Hawks 112-110 earlier. Clippers up 54-53 on the Wizards at halftime in D.C. Thunder up 81-72 on the Cavs. That is late in the third quarter. And that is the first game, Doug, of I guess you could call it the triple header with NBC and Peacock, with the Thunder up 81-72. The next game in that NBC Peacock triple header is the Knicks and the Mavs, which is at the Garden just after 5:30, or just after 5 o'clock East, actually. Knicks now minus 11.5, 231.5 the total.
Banger. Knicks. Next question.
Banger. Yeah.
Look, New York's lost 3 straight. They're getting Brunson back. I do think they're going to approach this game with the right mindset. I think it's a veteran team, the right makeup of guys, and the Mavs are just they're coming off back-to-back wins over the Jazz. Congratulations! Now they've been in New York, maybe a little New York flu going on. No Cooper Flag, no PJ Washington, no Daniel Gafford. It's a lot of Brandon Williams, Max Christie, and Najee Marshall. Now, if you want to play Najee Marshall over 15.5 points, I can get behind that. But I think the Knicks are going to name their score here.
Tee it high and let it fly for the Knicks here, coming up at the Garden at the top of the hour. The third game tonight, NBC Peacock. The Celtics in Detroit against the Pistons. Pistons minus 3, 233.5 the total.
Yeah, I lean over here. I think we're just going to be in a shootout. I think both teams want to play. I don't think we're going to have like lockdown defense, like a game 5 pivotal, one of those things. So I'm just going to have to roll in that capacity.
Yeah, I was thinking really along the lines the same thing tonight with that game. Celtics Pistons minus 3 just after 8 o'clock East for us there. Elsewhere tonight, Sixers at home for the Pacers. Sixers minus 6, 228 flat the total.
I think it's kind of a situation where I was talking about with the Knicks game. I think you have to play the Sixers off a couple losses. Pacers, are the Pacers. No Matherin still for Indy. I just think it's the right side. It's a little bit of a tax, but I think it's worth it. This Pacers team's still not very good. They've had some, surprising wins, if you want to call it. I'm still not a believer in them. So I think 6. I think if at some point, and I've said this back with like more handicapping the Kings and say, like teams don't win every game, lose every game. So you have to kind of pick that spot, and just the spot favors Philly. Now you're paying a tax, but I still think it's worth it.
Elsewhere this evening, late night. We got one late night game. The Heat are at Golden State against the Warriors. Warriors minus 5.5, 239 flat the total in this one.
Yeah, this is interesting because no Tyler Hero. And I think Hero remember, he started the season late and derailed the season. So I actually think they were in a groove. And remember the Heat, they were a high scoring team to begin the season and all this stuff. And then Hero came in and just disrupted everything. And so they were like a pace and space on steroids, just zipping around and scoring. So I like the first quarter over. I think without Hero, they have a fluidity to him. They don't need to run high ball screens and isolate him, and you got to run the offense or none of that nonsense. It's just ball finds the open guy, bang it. And I think that's what we're going to have now. They could be rusty in that type of offense, but I'll take my chances. So first quarter over 61.5.
Okay, first quarter over 61.5 there, Heat and Warriors tonight. Any interest in your Jazz?
Small play for that one, yeah.
Small play. Any interest in your Jazz? Now, I did just go and look. They have, to say they have a laundry list of guys out, Doug, I guess would be an understatement. Yeah. They have no Markkanen, no Sensabaugh, on and on and on, and that's why they are getting the big number here from the Spurs in San Antonio. 16.5 at BetRivers right now.
I mean, the Spurs are a professional outfit, but I don't think they're going to bring their lunch pail here and blow them out. I think the Jazz probably cover, but it's going to be like 14-point game. It's not going to be 8. For example, yesterday, the Rockets were 14-point favorites over the Pelicans. So Pelicans way better. I know without Herb Jones, but everyone else was in the lineup versus this version of the Jazz. And you're only getting 2.5 points more at the Spurs versus the Rockets, who, have not covered, I think, 8 straight. So I just think there was great line value yesterday, but not the line value today with the Jazz. I think it's going to be right around the number.
Right on the number there. And little maybe New York flu for the Suns today. You know, they played the Knicks obviously Saturday night. They've had to hang around, little Sunday in
Jeez.
New York. Now they go across the river to Brooklyn. 9.5 road favorites for Phoenix right now. Too low total here, Doug. 215.5
Yeah,
for
I
the
mean,
Suns.
Booker's questionable. I like your thinking. I'll say this though: Phoenix is this one team that's sort of the most
Yeah.
professional outfit
Yeah.
in the league, right? They've been so rock solid. They're buttoned up. All the players fit perfectly. They got the right attitudes. There's just so much to like with this Phoenix team. But I do think there's something to be said about the New York flu, and not that they've been burning the midnight oil at the clubs, but I just think being on the road, like I backed the Raptors yesterday. Stupid bet. I'm an idiot. They've been in LA, faced the Clippers. Like it just kind of takes its toll, whether it's sightseeing or whatever.
There you go. NBA for tonight. We got games going on now. We got plenty of games this evening as well. Hockey. Now we do
Oh
have
yeah.
same thing. We have some afternoon. Hurricanes beat the Sabres 2-1 earlier today, and we have the Avalanche up 1-0 on the Caps right now as they are about midway through the first period. Avalanche have already gotten on the board as that game's actually a little Martin Luther King afternoon matinee on TNT for the Caps and the Avalanche. But we got several other games tonight, Doug, as well. Let me give you a couple. Penguins and Kraken start actually at the top of the hour. 5 o'clock East, that's in Seattle at the Climate Pledge. So 2 o'clock local face-off for the Penguins and the Kraken. And the Kraken actually, dogs at home this afternoon, Doug. Plus 106 for Seattle. They've run another one of their lulls. They haven't been playing too well. Man, the Penguins laying that much on the road. Sneaky Kraken maybe this afternoon here at home. Maybe. They beat the Penguins 2-1 about a month ago in Pittsburgh. 3-2, actually. 3-2, 2-1. Beat them by a goal. I think we'll leave the Kraken alone today, Doug. Don't know if I want to go near the Kraken.
Tempting.
It is tempting. The Penguins shouldn't be that a road favorite of 132 against anybody, to be quite honest with you. The Sharks have been on the road for weeks, it feels like, and they're in Florida tonight against the Panthers. Panthers, big number, minus 200 right now. 6.5 the total here. I thought about the puck line, Doug, but the Sharks have kind of been playing well. Not sure I necessarily want to, because I'm not laying the 2. Thought puck line for Florida, if anything, because this is a very long trip for San Jose. You know, they did all the Northeast stuff, and now they've got to finish. They got to go to Florida now too, play tonight and tomorrow in Tampa. It's a lot of time away for the Sharks at this point.
Yeah, you got to be careful with these just early days and weird schedules, the travel.
Yep.
I mean, a lot's on the spot. Like we see the Bucks over the Cavs, right? Like this, it was all the spot, right? Cavs had won a couple. Um, so you got to play the spot. But these more, I mean, athletes, professional athletes are creatures of habit. They like their regular, whether it's naps or skate around, all that stuff. Their prep just disrupts you.
6 o'clock East, yeah. Not the normal time that you would play there. Same thing in Vegas today, really. Celebrini with the anytime goal. Celebrini's been red hot, Steve. Not going to have any problem if you want to go there. Like the over in San Jose, Florida. I could see that too, Dave, as well. So that's that'll be a 5 o'clock local for Vegas and the Flyers, 8 o'clock East tonight. Now, you talk streaks, Doug. We've got them. The Knights have won 7 in a row. The Flyers have lost 6 in a row. This was an immediate for me. I'm laying the puck line with the Knights tonight. Not only have the Flyers lost the 6 in a row, Doug, they haven't even covered a puck line in those 6 in
Nice.
a row. So we're going after with Vegas, who's really found some scoring here during this winning streak. They've been putting the puck in the net. I'm going to lay the puck line with Vegas.
Well, I go back and forth on these things. It's like, look, it's obvious. Don't try to catch the falling knife and back the Flyers. Just trust the stuff. Trust what's the trend. But at some point it ends. But I agree. There's no way I want the Flyers here.
Don't want the Flyers in this spot. Minnesota, Toronto tonight as well. Pretty good game. As Toronto's been playing well. Nothing really for me there, though, Doug, in that one. Maybe something in game as it gets going. Late night, The Islanders are in Vancouver. Weird. All three New York Metro teams are on the West Coast today, which is very strange. And Vancouver's starting this Lankinen again. He stinks. The problem is, Doug, for going after these overs, Vancouver doesn't, they forgot how to score. So we've been losing these last couple of Vancouver overs because they've been giving up a ton of goals, but losing like 4-0, losing 5-0. I think they lost 6-0 to the Oilers on Saturday night. So they're not scoring, but they keep letting them in. How about Islanders team total tonight against Lankinen? Now it's a little juicy at a flat 3. Gets in the minus 130s, where it was a couple hours ago. But Islanders have, even on this long trip, they've been scoring a little bit. And Lankinen stinks, so that's really who I want to go after. I don't want to take the full game because, like I said, Vancouver's been spotty and Sorokin's been very good for the Isles. Isles team total tonight.
Now, the more you can isolate what you think the handicap is, the better, in my eyes. Now, obviously, you don't get the slop like we do in pool when you get the wrong pocket you hit. But I think if you can trim the fat and things like that, I think if you have an angle. Now, what's this goalie? What is his game log like? What's he given up the last, I don't know, 3 to 5 starts?
Well, the last few times out for Lankinen, I will give you, he lost 4-1 in Columbus last Thursday. Did have a 2-1 game with that Ottawa game and then gave up 5. He gave up 5. So 5, 5, and 4, 3 of those last 4 starts.
Okay. I like that. That's a good,
He's
track
got a
record.
3.5 goals against this season, which is high. I mean, that's high for the end. I'm at a 3.5, 3.37 goals against is not where you want to be. And a save percentage under 90. So this is a good guy to pick on, this Lankinen, tonight with the Islanders in town. So I'll go there. And this is kind of just me going after. I played Kreider when the Ducks were at the Garden. What was that, a month ago, Doug? When Kreider came back and all the ex-Rangers came back to play them. Well, tonight the Rangers are in Anaheim at the Duck Pond. I'm going to play Kreider again at plus 220 to score tonight. He's got to get the Rangers. Come on, Kreider. Put one in against the Rangers tonight. So I'm going to play a goal scorer tonight, Doug. Have a little fun on a Monday.
Well, why not? Fire away.
Hey, I had a 50-1 over the weekend, Doug. We could splash a little bit with Kreider tonight, scoring a goal against his former team. If San Jose makes the playoffs, does Celebrini have outside chance for the Hart? I mean, I would personally believe so, Steve, but I know how most of these people vote, and so I'm going to say no. It's like Doug talks about with the awards and the narratives and all those things. As great a season as he's having, he plays in San Jose, and I just don't think that many people notice or care. Honestly, it seems like it's always McKinnon, McDavid, Draisaitl. It's the big names. So I think he's becoming that, but I don't think he would win the Hart this year, even if San Jose makes the playoffs. So maybe we're almost
not quite there.
Not quite there yet, but we're almost, with football ending, Doug. We're going to have to dive into some of these futures in the NHL every now and then. We'll have to start digging a little deeper in those with football closing up shop here very soon. As you said, sadly, 4 games left for us over the next couple of weeks. So there's the hockey tonight for us. College basketball. There's lots of games, Doug, but they're not great, to be fair.
Well, they're not.
They are not great. There's even some afternoon games. I saw St. Joe's and VCU playing before. That they were on. They're in the second half. But, the one game that stuck out to me was Providence and Marquette, maybe because it's just the one Big East game on the schedule tonight. But Marquette stinks.
You tried to fade them last week.
They did, and DePaul took care of them. DePaul did cover that number against Marquette. But Providence has been playing track meets pretty much every night. You look at some of these Providence scores, they're in the 80s and 90s. That's why this thing's pumped up to 166.5. That ain't Marquette, Doug. They stink. So, they were in the 150s against DePaul, in the 140s against St. John's, 140s with Villanova. I know why the number's there because of Providence, but I'm going to bet that Marquette just is so bad that it's not going to get into a game where both these teams are in the 80s. So, or even the Providence gets 90 plus and blows them out. So I'm going to take the under 166.5 with Providence and Marquette tonight.
You don't want to trust the home team here because Marquette and DePaul, that was at DePaul. So
these
home games really matter.
Look, Marquette could absolutely win the game. I'm sure,
I do. I think they might.
Providence isn't great either. They're a 500 team. They've got a couple decent wins, but I'm just looking. And you know what? That probably, if Marquette wins, Doug, it probably helps this under. That's probably an under if Marquette's going to be the winning team
Yeah.
tonight, I would have to think. Anything catch your eye with college hoops?
Look at this Ivy League game. So Princeton's at Dartmouth. This line opened some shops like Dartmouth -2 or -3, and it's been bet the other way. Now, Dartmouth at Ken Palm is a 3-point. They project Dartmouth wins by 3 at home. And Princeton is good, but these home teams sort of, I don't know. Like I mentioned it with, it's just hard to go against Dartmouth at home here, but I do think on a neutral, I would think Princeton wins. Now, this isn't exactly playing at Cameron Indoor, okay? But it's the travel, the bus ride, all that stuff after you land. So I just think it's really interesting. I would think the right side is Dartmouth. So, excuse me, I would think the right side's Princeton,
Mm-hmm.
but you're not going to win a lot taking the road team in these coin flip games. Pick them. So I just found it really interesting. But if I had to play it, I would think Princeton just based on the screen and all the line movement.
Yeah.
But these home teams, like Brown beat Columbia the other day in overtime, they should have lost. Now Brown got drilled today, which their offense is just not good. So my alma mater got drilled at home by Cornell. So these things don't always come to fruition, but I think the line value is telling you Princeton.
The Tigers hitting the road there against Dartmouth tonight. That's just after 6 o'clock East, that game. Tomorrow we'll do a lot of college hoops. Indiana, Michigan tomorrow, Doug. 19-0 Miami of Ohio plays again. Vandy, Arkansas.
Your
Purdue,
team.
UCLA. Yeah, should I go after them again? Do I go after Miami of Ohio again? At the Flashes of Kent State tomorrow night. See what the line is for them. St. Louis 17-1 also hitting the road against Duquesne. So we got a lot of games tomorrow in college hoops. All right, best bets and the daily double for this evening here on Betting Weekly Live. It's the last college football game of the season, and it's the thing that I liked the most when I woke up this morning, Doug. So I'm going after it. It's gone down a little bit, worries me, of course. But Miami and Indiana over the 46.5 tonight, either a smash job for the Hoosiers or a close game where I think both teams get in the 20s plus. So I'm going over.
All right. Let's hope we have a rocking chair play. So my favorite play today is the Knicks, but it's coming up at the top of an hour and we have replays and stuff like that. So I want a game that's later on, and I'm going to do the prop I talked about. EJ Williams over 12.5 receiving yards. And again, Miami plays zone. It's got to get some underneath stuff, zone busters, some third and longs. All we need is one catch. His over under for the longest reception of his is 10.5. So we're looking at one catch probably. But let's hope it's for 13 or more yards.
Over 12.5 for EJ Williams, along with the over 46.5 in the game. Miami, Indiana, national championship. I know we have it right there. Plus 220 is the daily double tonight on Betting Weekly Live. And a sidebar to the daily double. And I know what the record is, Doug, so I'm going to bring it up. The daily double this year, since me and you started doing this, is 1-0 when the daily double includes a play that I cannot play. You got St. John's last month on one night, and sure enough, the daily double was a winner. I cannot play this because there's no college football player props in New York. So, just some information, Doug, that the audience should have. 1-0 when I can't physically myself play the daily double. Plus 220. Miami, Indiana over, and EJ Williams over the 12.5 receiving yards. All right, Doug, tremendous job. As always, we'll see you again tomorrow, where, of course, like I said, huge night of college hoops. We got a lot of NBA, NHL, and we will start to look ahead more towards the two games this weekend, AFC, NFC title games for us on Betting Weekly Live. Of course, Betting Weekly Studio is part of the BetRivers Network. Mike Carver, Doug Kazarian, have a great night. Enjoy the games. We'll see you back here tomorrow, 4 p.m. East, 1 p.m. Pacific on Betting Weekly Live.